on a visit to meet with, first and foremost, Prime Minister Dean Barrow, who is the current chairman of CARICOM. He assumed the chairmanship on January 1 and will be the chairman for the next 6 months. And Belize, of course, will be hosting the intersessional meeting of heads of government from February 16th to 17th. And as is customary, I come to meet with the chairman and to brief the chairman, and also to get a sense of what would be his priorities during the course of his chairmanship. And in that regard, I had an excellent meeting with him this morning and the foreign minister and their staff. And I couldn't be in Belize without stopping to see my dear friend and colleague here at the Climate Change Center, Dr. Leslie, and especially to pay tribute to the excellent work that was done by the Climate Change Center in preparing the community for what I consider to be a successful outcome of the COP21 in Paris. We went in as a unified voice, women in the Caribbean community, CARICOM. A lot of technical work was done in preparing us for these negotiations over the past 2 years. That technical work was led in large measure by the Climate Change Center at the technical level, along with a number of negotiators from the member states themselves. There must have been about 6 or 8 negotiators from the member states who together formed a negotiating team. At the political level, it was superintended by some of our ministers of the environment, ably chaired by Dr. Jimmy Fletcher, Minister of the Environment and the Public Service, and a number of other portfolios in St. Lucia. And together made the team that represented our region in a unified way in Paris for COP21. I will say to you that the community was at its best in that instance, where you had several negotiators with the division of labor and going into different simultaneous negotiations, but speaking on behalf of the whole. And the major areas that we had identified as outcomes for the COP, I think we did fairly well. You can well imagine in a negotiation in which 194 plus countries are participating, that you can never get all of what you want in there. And it has to be a compromise, and a significant compromise, to accommodate the interests of 194 countries, and all feeling that they've left with something. I think the Caribbean community left with a little more than something, since we are very clear that CARICOM, the SIDS, as well as our colleagues in the Pacific, are among the most impacted by climate change, which is not coming, but which is here, and of which we can see the signs. So it was an existential issue for us, something that we had to go to fight for. And I had the pleasure of being there over the course of 2 weeks. We also had the pleasure of having 8 heads of government also in Paris, at least for part of the period. And at the political level, at that level also, negotiations took place. And I had the pleasure of seeing where we started, when I say started, where we were on the first day of that 2-week period and where we ended up. And I can tell you that a lot of work, a lot of long hours, a lot of work went into forming coalitions with like-minded countries and like-minded interests on like-minded issues, some of them led by us meaning the Caribbean community and SIDS, and at other times we joined in others. And I think we came out fairly well, and I think CARICOM and the Caribbean community should be very proud of the achievement that we've had, and I think it's compliments to all of our negotiators and our ministers and our heads of government for that achievement.